Hi all, I just want to show you this very quickly. I've come to a new room here in Bangkok, Thailand. I will do a more detailed video talking about this room because I've got a few more points to make. But you'll note in this playlist I've got a cheaper living options video, part 1 and 2. Part 1 was the first apartment I was in, part 2 was that last condo. And I've also got a finding a room series of videos. Part 8 I talk about orientation, which way your room faces, which I think is very important. And on my Facebook page I've got a part 8A and 8B. I've got links to my Facebook groups, pages in the description because I've got more detail in my Facebook articles. Okay, as brief as possible, I just want to show you this. This room is facing east. And I really had no choice, but it was a good experiment. And you can see how it's now just before 10 o'clock in the morning. I've got the sun coming into the room. This room's going to be a bit hotter because anytime you have the sun hit the window, it's always going to be warmer. Around 9 o'clock the sun was around here, and by about 10:15 or so the shadow's going to go off, or the sun's going to go off the window. Okay, now I'm facing east here. Like I said in the previous video, there are 3 things for shade. If you've got plenty of trees, if you've got buildings, or plenty of shading devices, overhangs to keep the sun off, that's okay. But if you've got open sky, you don't want to face west definitely. The one rule that I've definitely formed is if it's all open sky and no shade, boy, you really don't want to face west. That's the hottest part of the day, the sun's setting. Now even the east, if you had to sort of choose, or you were forced to choose between east and west, I would pick east because at least the mornings are a bit cooler. I'm facing east here, and you can see how I've got a bit of a tree and that building there. Now if you look at the sun, that's where the sun is coming up about here. It's now early March. I have to see by June the 22nd, that's when the sun is the most northerly, to see if it goes beyond that building. Because if it goes north of that building, that's north that way, I'm going to have the sun coming right up there, and now it's going to be blasting more into my room. At the moment, it only comes in by about 9 o'clock to about 10:15, 10:30 or so. I'll get that bit of sun above the building. So if you've got plenty of buildings, plenty of trees, and plenty of shading you can put down here, then this advice doesn't really matter to you. For example, if you live in the built-up area of a city and you've got big high-rise buildings, then obviously this doesn't matter. The key is if you've got open sky. I'm facing east. Like I said, if you had to choose between east or west, east is better because it's cooler. I've also got the advantage I can do my washing at night times and get it dried more easily with a bit of sun. So it is nice to have a bit of sun sometimes, but bearing in mind Thailand's a hot country and you really don't want sun. Now there is an air conditioner and so forth, but you're going to use the air conditioner and just use up more money. So it's really up to you about that. But just a few comments about the sun coming in. I think my room is a bit warmer. I do have some advantages having sun for my dry out towels and stuff and my washing. So there it is. The last condo, I only had less than a half a metre overhang. I talk about that. And I didn't get the sun come in because I faced north. The sun won't go so far north to get in and shine on your windows, even with a 1 metre overhang. This is a 1.5 metre overhang, and you can see how I'm still going to have the sun coming up like that. So they're the points. I hope that makes sense. I'll talk about it in more detail, but there's this bit of sun coming in. I face east, and that's just a question mark about how much sun you want. This room is, I think, a bit warmer in the mornings, but not critically hot. You definitely don't want to face west. And facing south, I make the point in my, I think another video, I did have another video where I talked about south, because in the cool season when the sun's at a fairly low angle in the winter time, coming up to December, January time, there is quite a bit of sun coming onto a south facing window and south facing wall. Okay, so you may get some sun during the cool season from late November, January and December, January, February and so forth, but north is the best. and west is a no-no. East, maybe you don't want if you're going to have the sun blaring in, but that's what I've got here. So I hope that makes sense. It's a bit confusing, but I think it's very important because Thailand's a hot country to know which way your room faces.